I think that it's really easy to have this attitude, and I think that a lot of people that market, younger people that are marketing restaurants, they think, oh, you can't bombard people. It's one post a day, right? But the reality is,
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Local Marketing Lab, where you get real-world insights from industry pros to help you drive local revenue and local growth. This podcast is brought to you by Evocalize, digital marketing tools powered by local data that automatically work where and when your locations need it most. Learn more at evocalize.com. Well, what's up, and welcome to the Local Marketing Lab. Joining us in the lab today is a guest with over 25 years of hospitality experience. He's a restaurant executive coach, host of the Restaurant Success Club podcast, and author of Shift Happens, 7 Strategies to Help Your Restaurant Crush the New Economy. Monte Silva, thanks for joining us in the lab, my friend.
Great, Justin. Great to finally connect with you here. Hey, it was also great to see you in person in Atlanta earlier this month.
It was cool. Yeah, it's funny. Like you meet all these friends and make all these friends online digitally, but when you get to meet folks in real life, it's like it's not only just solidifying the relationship, but it's a lot of fun. It's almost like you're seeing a bunch of celebrities, that you've never met in person. So yeah, it was good meeting you.
Well, I don't know about celebrities. You're a celebrity. Oh, man. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's one of the reasons why I love going to those events. We speak at them and at conferences and stuff, but it's really the relationships, and you get to know people through social, through the virtual world. And so that's a great thing. Just something that, and that produces a great, kind of, developing of the relationship. But until you really meet them in person, there's just nothing like that. It's a lot to do with what we're going to talk about today in marketing, right? There's virtual marketing as well as that interpersonal thing. And I don't think anything really beats that.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess to start things off, why don't you tell us just a little bit about your journey and what you're focusing on kind of more recently?
Yeah, thanks. So I grew up in the restaurant business, started off washing dishes at 15 and worked my way through all of the back of the house positions, all the front of the house hourly positions. And at 27, decided to move to the Caribbean after seeing the movie Cocktail. And I ran a bar in the Caribbean for a year and a half and somehow survived that and came back to the States, and then decided that I really wanted to make the hospitality industry, my thing in life. And so got into restaurant management, moved to Southern California, opened up some restaurants for Chevy's Mexican Restaurant, worked my way through from bar manager to assistant KM to service manager to head kitchen manager, which is kind of the trajectory you have to take to become a GM. So by the time you're a GM, you know how to do everything, which is awesome. Had a great mentor there, Tom Bryan, and then followed him to another company. Was a GM for him for a couple of years before moving into being a general manager for Wolfgang Puck. And I ran restaurants for him in Southern Cal and in Las Vegas. And then in 2005, moved to Nashville and really, really honed my craft there. I did go through burnout working for Wolfgang. I was running 2 restaurants simultaneously and working 8 to 4 in one restaurant, 5 to midnight in the other, 6 days a week, and just kind of took its toll. So I took some time off, worked for him in Vegas at a lower position that allowed me to kind of clear my head, and then reemerged in Nashville and ran restaurants for Fleming Steakhouse, Chef Ruby Steakhouse. I was the GM and then the director of ops for Acme Feed and Seed, which was the 31st highest grossing restaurant in the country. Became their director of ops. COVID hit a little while after that, and COVID happened for me, and it got me into the Florida area. Was the managing partner for a restaurant in Florida while I built up my new coaching business, Monte Silva Coaching. So I'm in Tampa now. I have a wife, a son. I coach soccer on Saturdays, and I'm able to work with restaurant groups through the week.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have 4 kiddos, and we get soccer games every Saturday. We've got 2 or 3 kids playing depending on the week. But anyways, I appreciate you taking us through that. And then I know that recently you've launched this new book of yours. So if you want, you could tell us a little bit about that and kind of the things that you highlight in there.
Yeah. So I read a lot. I've got my library right here, and there's a lot of great authors. A lot of friends that have written books in the last couple of years. And so it's kind of fun to kind of work with them and pick their brain. And so I have a new book called Shift Happens: 7 Strategies to Help Your Restaurant Crush the New Economy. And what I learned, so in that brief description of my career, as I hit burnout and went through a divorce, I really realized that we did a lot of things wrong. I grew up in the industry where, if you didn't saute that fish right, the chef would throw a pan at you, and a lot of yelling and screaming. And I realized that there are at least 7 myths. I identify 7 false beliefs that really hurt our industry and almost destroyed it. And COVID kind of came and kind of shook a lot of people and made us reevaluate some of that. Some of the new labor markets with millennials and beyond have helped change the way we look at taking care of our people. And so this book really is, I identify 7 false beliefs that almost destroyed us. And then I replace those with 7 strategies. I don't want to just be the thermometer that tells you that it's hot, or something's wrong. I want to be the thermostat that's helping change it. And so using this book allows me to go way broader than just my coaching clients to be able to help the industry really get back on track.
Very cool. Within those strategies, do you talk, or how much do you touch on marketing?
A little bit. There's one false belief that marketing is expensive. Most of what I talk about is the false belief of you have to underpay your people to be profitable. The restaurants are bad investments, that you have to work 70 hours a week to be successful. A bunch of those things, but marketing is one of them, where marketing used to be very expensive in the old model. We used to have to pay for a radio ad or a TV ad or a billboard or a bus bench or something. We had to hope and pray that somebody would come in, a food critic would come in and critique our restaurant and give it a really high score. And it's really shifted to, kind of went through kind of guerrilla marketing. And I talk about that in my book, some of the things that I did at Chevy's and some of the other restaurants to really minimize the overhead of marketing and really gain a massive impact and get a really great ROI. And then I moved to, what people are doing now.
Yeah, it is interesting. Right now we live in a time where we've never had the capability to do as much marketing, as much reach on your own as we do today. Whether you're focusing on organic social media, building out content, highlighting folks in your neighborhoods or in your communities, co-marketing or collaborating on different content with other folks within your community. But also there's the paid side of things too, where it's relatively easy to, if you know who you're going after, you can segment your audiences, who you're targeting, relatively easy to get ads, served up in front of them at the right time in their journey, whether they're searching for something on Google or whatever it might be. We have the capability now that we've never had before in the past.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because, with that, there's way more chatter, obviously, right? And white noise. It's learning how to kind of navigate through all of the chatter. It used to be, hey, if I just get on a TV show or a commercial or something, then I'm good, right? Because people are watching.
Yeah.
But now with just the constant bombardment, we all have things that we do, and a lot of it's really great, but there's a lot of noise out there that Gary Vee talks about this. You gotta post 10 times a day if you want anyone to really see who you are, because of the amount of being pulled in multiple
Yeah.
directions.
Well, and they say, if you have followers, like only 1.5% of your network sees any given post that you push out there. So if you think about it, like, man, I've got a banger post, I want to get in front of everybody, and potentially only 1.5% of your followers are going to see it. So, and the algorithms are shifting to be more towards, they'll pick up the content that's more engaging and similar to other content pieces that are out there that perform really well. But still, even if 1.5% of folks are seeing what you post, that means that your posts, you could actually post the same thing multiple times, maybe every other week or something like that. Or the idea of, exhausting your audience really doesn't apply in this instance, because you could post 10 times a day, like Gary Vee says, and not only are you getting in front of more folks, odds are folks who aren't really following you aren't going to see more than one. And if they are following you, they are for a reason, so they won't mind seeing more than one post. But you also have the ability to accelerate your learnings the more that you post. So you could see what types of content actually resonate with your audience, what works, what doesn't, and do more of what works.
Yeah. I think that it's really easy to have this attitude. And I think that a lot of people that market, younger people that are marketing restaurants, they think, oh, you can't bombard people. It's one post a day. Right. But the reality is that I probably have on my social media, I probably have 20 to 50 people that engage regularly with me and like everything I write. And and so they're probably seeing too much of me, right? But they're also there to support. There's people in the industry that are supporting what we do and want to be part of that and are okay if it pops up on their feed regularly. Whereas, I have 31,000 followers, 31,400 and something followers on LinkedIn. And I guarantee you, if 50 or 60 of them are like watching everything that I do, that's that many other people that are out there that aren't going to see that if you're not posting regular. And so I think you just have to kind of put that idea in mind that if someone's seeing your post 10 times a day, then they probably are really rooting for you and supporting you. And so, don't get caught up in your strategies based on your 10 to 50 loyal people.
And it brings up a good point too. Like, those who are following you, they follow you for a reason, because they like you, they like your brand. And so this is like for the listeners out there, if you work for a brand, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, try different types of content. So not fully branded content that seems like a commercial. If you follow Sean Walshoff, he always says, be the show, not the commercial. So if you're able to highlight different stories, within your brand to get people to see, maybe a peek behind the scenes, or get them the ability to learn a little bit more about your brand's personality or the stories of the folks that work at your different locations, right? This type of content really resonates with folks, and it will bring them in even deeper to your brand in terms of, get them to becoming brand advocates, and then they want to share your content eventually, which is something, again, that we've never had the ability for folks to share content in the past. This concept of virality is very new in its infancy. So being able to take advantage of that is massive for the brand. And in order to do that, you're not gonna get there, I should say, by creating just brand focused commercial style content.
Yeah. I think it's important from my journey, and I'm much older than you are, but
like 10
my journey after the after that initial thing of radio buys and stuff like that, we got into more guerrilla marketing, and there's a couple things that I did that were super helpful that I'd like to share to the audience. But the thing is, there has to still be some kind of a combination of virtual versus in person to really be successful. But some of the things that we did before before the virtual social media expansion is that we really got involved with our community. We joined the Chamber of Commerce. We weren't just a line on the Chamber of Commerce as a business. We actually attended the mixers and networking opportunities and got to know people. And so then when they would come into my restaurant, they would already know me. They would see a familiar face. They would feel welcome. There was already a relationship established. I think that's important to do. And then looking for ways to drive specific traffic. When I worked at Chevy's, we were in a parking lot of a major mall in Robinson's May, which is a very big, it's like a Macy's or something like that. And Neiman Marcus kind of a thing. They would do these full page ads in the LA Times every time they were doing a 24-hour sale. And so I went to the general manager of the rest of the store and I said, hey, what are you doing to make your events festive? And he's like, well, what are you talking? And I said, well, wouldn't it be fun if it was like a party and people were coming in and they were taking their time shopping. They weren't rushing because it was a fun experience for them. And he said, well, what do you have in mind? And I said, I'd like to set up a little table, give away free chips and salsa and balloons to the kids, and really just by doing that, where we're providing a fun, festive environment, then it makes it great for them. It slows down the shopping experience, and what it does for us is we would give the chips and salsa to our guests, and then they would walk around, and then when they were done shopping, they'd be like, wow, these chips and salsa are really good. I'm addicted. Let's go to the restaurant. And then we would give balloons away to the kids, and the kids would walk through the rest of the mall with the balloon. And you're a dad, every kid sees that balloon. It's like, oh, I want a balloon. And they don't know that Robinson's May has free balloons. So everybody at the mall goes over there, and we increased our revenue about 25 to 30% every time we did one of those on a Saturday. Wow. And it cost me chips and salsa and balloons. So that's one way of kind of being involved with the local community and really driving people to your restaurant. Another time I worked a deal in Nashville with a BMW dealership where we gave them gift cards at half price for them to give a $100 gift card to everybody that purchased a BMW the month of December. And then it drove traffic we shared valet with a high-end Italian restaurant, and we were flipping from a kind of a hipster restaurant to a high-end restaurant, but we hadn't really gotten the traction yet. So when BMW started pulling up and coming into our restaurant instead of next door, their friends were like, hey, where are you going? Oh, we're going to check out this restaurant. And so there's a way to drive kind of that guerrilla marketing traffic that really works well. And I think that should still be part of every restaurant strategy, along with, joining the chamber and being engaged and going to networking events and maybe doing fundraisers for the community and being engaged with, the local charities and stuff like that. And I think that if you can do that and then also work on the virtual stuff, you really make a much bigger impact when it comes to marketing.
Yeah, 100%. Are there any brands out there that you think do local marketing really well? That it could be within restaurant, it could be outside a restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, right? Talk about Sean Waltzoff all the time. The guy's everywhere. I think
he gets it. What I like about, just to touch on Sean real quick, what I like about his approach is with his story, if you haven't heard it, if you're listening, he basically realized that he thought if he were to get on the news or do some of these traditional marketing things that he'd all of a sudden get all this traffic. And after a while, he realized that no one's telling his story. People aren't coming to his restaurant like he thought. And he needed to develop a way to tell his own story to get the word out there, to drive traffic on his own. So from a local marketing standpoint, he thought outside of the box, developed a media company and got his name out there, leveraging his own ability to create media and content and stuff like that. But yeah, he's got tons of traffic now and he's starting to grow to multiple locations. So it's a really cool story.
Yeah, that brings up another point, right? There's brand marketing is very different than location marketing. I'm working with one of my clients, Secret Sandwich Society. They have the brand, and then they have licensed locations. And the licensed locations want traction coming into the restaurant, right? They want to see that people are engaging and coming in and spending money. The brand wants that, but they also want to make the brand so recognizable that when they do go to a new location, then there's automatic, traction. You don't have to start over and build that up. And so if you think about McDonald's, everyone knows what the golden arches are. It doesn't mean that every time you see golden arches, you're going to pull in. But maybe 2 days later, 3 days later, you're thinking about a burger, and in the back of your head, you remember the golden arches, And if you like McDonald's more than I do, then you might go, So I think that's important, is understanding what is brand marketing or what is traffic marketing, right? To get brand awareness versus driving people into the restaurant is super important. I think that's something that Sean did. Cali Barbecue Media is his brand, and Cali Barbecue locations, and he's got this really good balance about doing both of those. I learned in 2010, I think it was, I learned that, I'm a brand, you're a brand, right? We watched people like Fixer Upper with the, Chip and Joanne games. We watched my buddy Robert Irvine with Restaurant Impossible and those other shows, even Duck Dynasty, some crazy duck dudes that make duck calls are out there making it happen. And so I had the opportunity, a restaurant that I was rebranding from a hipster pizza kind of place serving PBRs to a very upscale restaurant where we were overnighting fish in Honolulu. We had a great craft cocktail program, had a great wine list. We were providing top-notch service and hospitality, and I had to rebrand that. And so we wanted to do a Chardonnay and a Cabernet that was a restaurant branded wine. And so I picked that out, but because we were still in kind of the transitioning to this upscale restaurant that was going to be known for wine, the distributor said, look, you got to buy a pallet of each, and that's a lot of money, and we don't want to get stuck with it. So we want your name on there. And I said, well, it's not about me. This is about the restaurant. But they weren't going to do it just for the restaurant because I had the brand identity when it came to wine. And so in really large print, it says Boundary Private Selection Chardonnay. And then in very small print in the front, it says hand selected by Monte Silva. And then on the back, because the wines I ended up picking came from where I grew up in California, the winemaker created a little story. We talk about stories about how I grew up in Santa Rosa and Sonoma County. And this wine was very stylistic of the wines from where I grew up and where I lived. And I was excited about bringing them to my new friends in Nashville. And so it was a really cool marketing thing. But I realized, hey, I'm a brand too, right? And so, so I think it's important if you're a restaurant owner or have your own business, that you figure out how you can leverage your own personal brand as well as brand that that's part of your business.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I always say the most important thing you can market is yourself. So whether you're, trying to just network or, establish new opportunities for yourself or even market your own business, right? When you go around and you meet people within your community, you stop into different establishments within maybe a 5-mile radius of where your store or your restaurant's at. You introduce yourself, you get to know them at a personal level, and people like to do business with people. So if they like you, that's part of their engagement with your personal brand. If they like you, they'll want to do business with you. So yeah, the most important thing you can market is yourself, 100%. I guess with that, Monte, I just gears a little bit. You're very well known within the restaurant community. Like you said, you've got thousands of followers just on LinkedIn alone. But what I think others don't have a chance to see is your off work side, which you said that you coach your 5-year-old son's soccer team. Is that right?
Yeah. I do a lot of coaching. clients, restaurant clients, and my son.
Yeah. Well, I thought it might be fun to drop you into AI and see if I can crank out a shot of you coaching a game, but it looks kind of similar.
Yeah, that's funny.
Are you like, have you seen the movie Kicking and Screaming
I've
with
not.
Will Ferrell?
If it's Will, I'll just see it.
It's Will Ferrell, and it's an older one. Will Ferrell and Mike Ditka is his neighbor, or his dad's neighbor. But there's like a rivalry between him and his dad as soccer coaches, and Ditka gets involved. It's pretty funny. An old one that I think people forget about.
That's funny. You know, one of the things that we were talking about prior to this call is, when listeners are struggling to drive growth at the local level, what's something that, I do to encourage them. And I think that we make the mistake that, and some of this, we don't have to be perfect. When I started doing videos to promote Monte Silva coaching, I sucked, just like all of us did when we started, right? But when it comes to your restaurant, right? If you are marketing something, you're making a promise to the people that are watching. And I think it's really important in the restaurant space that you don't market until you can deliver on the promises that you're making in that, in that marketing. And so I think that what happens a lot is we aren't really that good of a restaurant and we promote it and we just tell the rest of the world we suck, right? It's better to really focus on building that perfect box or as close as you can get to that, because it's never perfect. And then going out and getting traffic. Because once you drive marketing, dollars into your restaurant, a lot of times it's one shot. And if it's not a good experience, you just wasted that money.
You lose them.
It's important to remember that. And that's why, I talk about marketing and I work with my clients on marketing. But the majority of the work I do with my coaching clients is let's make sure that your product is solid. Let's make sure that the people that you have can execute and grow your business. Let's make sure that the processes that we're using can grow your business and provide success and a great experience for your employees as well as your guests. And then let's work on, what are you purchasing? What's the guest purchasing? Let's figure out how to raise your revenue, and then we'll control profits. But everybody tries to go cut and control their profits first. And that's just the backwards way. So.
I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying. We talk about it quite a bit in the show, actually, where you have to make sure the experience within your four walls is dialed before you start throwing marketing dollars and energy towards it, because if not, you're only driving them to a poor experience, which is going to amplify the negative reviews, and really you're throwing good money after bad. You got to fix the leaky bucket, otherwise you're just going to lose those marketing dollars and make it even harder for yourself to crawl out of the hole.
It's just like, when you hire somebody, it's a lot more expensive if they quit. You have to rehire someone else, right? And so why would you want to start all over and gain a new marketing avatar guest if you can get this repetition going? Some of my greatest experiences have been when I've created a community of followers who go wherever I go, and I don't have to recreate that. And so when I focused on me being a brand, if I did leave a restaurant and go to another one, my whole crew went with me, right? My employees, my guests that followed me. And it's the same thing. I was writing a blog on LinkedIn way before I started Monte Silva coaching, but I was able to transition and take those followers with me as I left Nashville and moved out of restaurant operations and into coaching and helping people.
Yeah, no, that's very good. One thing that I did learn from you about a year ago were the digital hospitality rooms that Sean Walchef and Troy Hooper host a couple times every week, every Wednesday and Friday. If you're curious and want to join, it's an awesome room. But Monte got on stage and was talking about his approach to giving. And basically, Monte, you had said, I'm going to for the next 6 months, or for the last 6 months when you were telling the story, you didn't try to push your own business. You didn't try to sell yourself at all. All you did was try to promote others, amplify their message, their stories, and give of your time and energy to help them become successful. And you were able to, within the following 6 months, and I could be off a little bit, but you were able to double your revenue in your business just by not focusing on your business. So sometimes if you're trying to drive more traffic, more engagement within your community, highlight others, share theirs, create a positive feeling of working with you as a human being, and get them to amplify your story. And naturally, that's just how things work. I've seen it also work for me as well on the business to business side of things.
Yeah, for sure. I started off kind of my strategy for building my coaching company was to create and connect. So I was creating content and out there, and then I was going to shows, conferences, or doing Zoom calls or whatever, and connecting with people online. And that was a good model for quite a while. But really where the growth came in is when I added collaboration to that. And so it was create, connect, collaborate. So as I created and connected with people, I developed deeper relationships with them. And then what really happened was my business really exploded when I started collaborating. So here's a couple cases. Shift Happens. Christian Fisher has a publishing company that helps authors or people in the food and beverage space become authors and write their book and put it out there. And so his team helped me put that together. I became friends with Chef Robert Irvine. He wrote the foreword of the book. And during that process of working on this, I found out more about his foundation that he helps the military, giving back to the military. And he was on my podcast, Restaurant Success Club. And through that process, I decided that we would give $1 to the Robert Irvine Foundation for every book sold. And so that's a partnership, right? I'm a partner with Christian, with the publishing company, and Robert with his foundation. I'm working with Maverick Theory, which is a consulting talent agency that is unbelievable. They can do everything from designing your interior of your restaurant, helping you pick a location, organizing everything, building out your menu, building out your beverage program, hiring and training your team, from paper to execution. And so I'm one of the fortunate consultants that they work with to help them with their clients. And just being able to partner with people like that is fantastic. Jay Ashton from Canada. He's my guy. He produces my podcast, Restaurant Success Club. So I've been able to strategically find people that I want to work with, that I love working with. And it's a lot more fun when you show up and, you get to enjoy the people you work with. And that's what I love about my coaching business. Instead of just consulting, if I was just consulting, I would do a project and I would leave, and I would never really get to know, these people. But in a coaching scenario, it's a minimum 90 days. And so I have an opportunity to develop, closeness with them and gain their trust. And it's really been remarkable to see what kind of relationships that have come out of that.
Yeah, for sure. So as we wrap things up, how can folks follow you on social, and how do they get their hands on that book?
Well, the book you can get on Amazon, Amazon.com. There, it's funny. I thought I was creative. I came up with the name Shift Happens, right? And as soon as it went up, I realized there are 7 books called Shift Happens. So if you're watching this, make sure you get a black, white, and red one that says 7 proven strategies to help your restaurant crush the new economy. Monte A. Silva. Don't buy the wrong one. I also have a it's kind of a journal that goes with it that you can also purchase. It says stories. Don't buy that if you want to read the book. That's just a journal for you to kind of help journal your journey as you kind of try some of these things out. But it's available in hardback, softback. It's available in Amazon Audible and Kindle. I'm coming out in some other languages and stuff. It's going to be really, really cool. But you can get that
Very
there. My podcast, Restaurant Success Club, is on Amazon, at Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you want to find out more about me, you can go to www.montesilvacoaching.com. And you can follow me on LinkedIn, where I have a newsletter every week that I post. And I also am on YouTube, Restaurant Success with Monte Silva. Got some shorts and some longer form videos to help you on your journey.
Awesome. No, great content. If you're not yet following Monte, I highly recommend it. Great nuggets coming across your feed. So I definitely subscribe to it. Monte, it was a ton of fun having you in the lab. I appreciate you gracing me and our guests with your presence. Thanks again for joining us, all those who are listening. Monte, have an awesome day.
You too. Thanks for having me on. And we'll have you on the show soon as well. Let's get you
that'd be fun.
Restaurant Success Club.
And let's do it. As always, thanks for joining us in the Local Marketing Lab. This podcast is brought to you by Evocalize. To learn how Evocalize can help you grow your business, visit evocalize.com. If you learned something new from today's episode, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook at Evocalize. That's EVOCALIZE. And on X at Evocalize Inc. And remember, keep innovating and trying new things. You never know what's going to connect with your audience until you try. And until next time, thanks for listening.